It is time once again for the weekly closes on our favorite miners. Let's get right into it, starting with CleanSpark. All right, we can see here that CleanSpark closed the week out below the 20-week moving average once again. It also closed beneath the 5-week moving average. Now, this isn't great. Now, we do know that they've had dilution coming through. We do know that they acquired Grid. We know that they bought some land. I believe it was I can't remember right now, but they bought some land. We talked about it. They've got a lot of exahash coming through very soon here for CleanSpark. So we saw a lot of good news in the last 2 weeks, but we've been seeing no price action off of that good news. I'm assuming that very likely has to do with them finishing out their dilution on us, which is why you notice it never really goes below 15 by very much, and it doesn't really go above 18 very much. And it hasn't done that. Oof, man, it's been stuck in that very precise range since April 29th. So for a few months, we've been not barely like when it gets above 18, it comes down. When it gets below 15, it comes up. So it's been really stuck in that area here. I think once we solidly close above 18, and I've said this multiple times and I'll continue to say it, once we solidly close above 18, we're going to see some major price action out of CleanSpark. Right now, we printed a doji. Okay, so the weekly for CleanSpark is a doji here. We are still just between 15 and 18. I think 18, I mean, honestly, disregard the moving averages on CleanSpark. It's clearly being held here um, purposely. It is likely due to dilution coming through when it gets over 18 and it easing up as it approaches 15. And once they're done with all of that dilution, I think we're going to probably see this thing rocket out of this space here. It is making quite the impressive pennant about right here, right? It's coming like here, and then we come in here, and then flat. Like, all right, let me draw it. Let me just draw it, because that's hard to see with all my other drawings. I'll just do it like here. Right here, we got this line here coming here, down to there, and then at $15, we got it right here. And we're getting that sort of, why is this like move, buddy? It's coming right there, right? And when we get to the base of this thing at some point, like it's gonna explode out of here, and it's gonna be like the biggest bull flag you've ever seen. That's what I'm expecting out of CleanSpark eventually. And right now, we're just seeing it continue to print these dojis, stay in this range, and it's gonna keep doing that until it doesn't. Basically, that's all I can say about CleanSpark right now. I'm still very bullish on CleanSpark. I hold a lot of CleanSpark. I'm looking for this thing to get out of that range and eventually just explode upward into the high 20s, low 30s, maybe even 40s. We'll see. But this, I think, will eventually prove to be a significant bull flag that takes us all the way back up into these higher ranges of CleanSpark price action. Let's take a look at Marathon. How is Marathon doing this week? Let me turn off the SMAs. It is getting kind of in the way here. All right, so it came back down to that most traded level around 1980. It went a little bit below it and then came and closed the week above it. Again, this is like a doji, but with like, it's hanging lower in the chart. You can see that we are above the 50 RSI here for Mara on the weekly, which is good. We're at 54. We are heading upward on the volume, so that is good. But this candle, still a little bit ugly. I think same thing, similar sort of thing going on with Mara. It's got to get above that $22.75. Once it gets above $22.75, I think we will see this thing explode upward. Before then, I think 1980 will continue to be something of a floor. It has since May 20th, not gone too far below. It's gone to like 1890, but that's not that. It's like a dollar move in between it. I think it's going to hover around this big orange line here until it gets above 22.75. And then once it's above 22.75, I think that we are heading right back into the 30s and 40s, and we'll get a nice, beautiful blow off top like we've had in the past. And hopefully it'll be even a little bit higher, maybe even high 30s this time for Mara. I do think so. Right here, and I'll draw it. We had a similar sort of thing like on CleanSpark, right? We had this, right? And then we had this one making us something of a pennant. It faked us out going below and then came way above, and then it closed right on top of it again. So hopefully we can see this thing do some movements up. Let's take a look at the SMAs real quick, see how those are aligning up on the weekly right now. Let's have a look, see here. Yeah, so we are above all the SMAs right now. That's good. What I really want to see on Marathon is hold above the SMAs like it's doing right now. So it's above all the moving averages right now for the weekly, and that is good. I like to see that. I want to see it maintain that, and I want to see this 5 get back above the 20, and I want us to see it start using the 5 week moving average as support on the way up, and then eventually get way away from it. See, like back here from October in 2023, where it just started using the 5-day week moving average as support, and then it just started blasting off of it. I want to see that similar sort of move, and then when it comes back beneath the 5-week moving average, that's when we'll know that that move is like fully and truly done. And that's really all I'm looking for on Mara right now. Again, it's going to be dormant. It has been, and it will continue to be for a while until it takes off. And when it takes off, it's going to be dramatic. It's going to be fast. It's going to be pretty in your face. So be prepared for that. I'm just sitting on my Mara, just waiting for it to provide me that move. Similar to what I'm expecting to see out of something like Bitfarms. So this is Bitfarms now on the weekly. So I don't have any of the SMAs right now because I wanted to show a few things. So one, this is hammer. So we got a hammer. I know hammers are great, but we got a hammer, and it is a red hammer, so it's not the best kind of hammer, but it is a hammer at the bottom of a move. So what we could expect with this huge tail that went all the way down to 230, then just drove up from there, what we can expect from here is we need to see price respect this ascending trend line here, which it has been doing. It came, notice how it came just above it on this weekly here. Respect this trend line on the way up. All right, and then get above $3. Once we get and close above $3, we're going to be having a very nice time on Bitfarms. We're very likely to come back up into the high threes, maybe into the mid fours. Once we take out that $3 and we are closing above it. Notice how when we did get above it in June 17th, the week of June 17th, how we closed below it, like we got above it and then we came back below it. That's how we knew we weren't going to stay up there. But we do know that we're likely not coming back down to that 230 level, since this like the buying pressure down here was strong. And we're going to see it continue to be pretty strong going forward. Now let's take a look at the SMAs. Okay, so we are above all of them. Well, the 5-week is at 269. We're at 267. So we're just below the 5-week moving average. I want to see price move up and drag this 20-week moving average up above the 200-week moving average. So the 20-week is at 231. The 200 is at 250. I want to see that get up and above it, and I'd like to see it do it faster than it is and hold it for a little while. Like, I mean, you saw it came up here and that was after the move. I would like to not see it after the move because I would like to see this be a little more sustained than just a couple of days, right? I want to see this thing really rip up and hold for a while. But this is promising. This movement is promising. We had a leg up. Now we're getting our leg down. All we need to do is get over $3 and hold over $3. If we could close next week over $3 or the week after, just like in the next 14 days, if we can close over $3, we're looking at taking out this high back here at 370. And that is pretty exciting for Bitfarms, especially if you have a decent sized back like I do. And of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's just my analysis of the chart, what I'm thinking when I am looking at these candles, and how I am personally planning to go after this chart and make my own purchases and sales accordingly. That's what I'm doing here. That's it. All right, moving on to Bit Digital is looking so good right now. It is looking so good right now on Digital. I cannot wait for the earnings to come out to see how the miners are doing. They're gonna, like, Q2 is closed now. We're in Q3 officially. We will start getting these reports pretty soon to see how the halving has affected them in Q2, and we'll have Q3 will be the first quarter where it was completely all just in the post-halving era. But Digital's been riding off of that wave of HPC lately. They've been doing super well. Last week, they were up 12.26%. The week before, they were 20.45%. Can we get a third week in a row, or are we going to print a doji? I'm not certain, but what I do really like here, this is what I really, really like. We see this candle back here on February 12th. We closed the week above the wick on that thing. So we are now going to make a new cycle high here. Will this cycle high take out these previous two back here? And if it follows the trend that it has the last couple of times it has peaked, it's gone higher each time. Okay, so back here in June 26th, the week of June 26th in 2023, we made a high. And then we made another high on December 26th that week in 2023, and it was a little bit higher. So the first high was at 480. The second high was 526. If we continue to follow this line here, right? if we continue to follow this line, sometime by August, like let's say by August 12th, it has to go as high as it's going to go. We could potentially see this thing at 580 for a couple of days, or maybe even just a couple of hours, or even just minutes if things get really wild. Um, in this cycle, and I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, we've seen it do this sort of move before. Like look back here on November 27th, we had a big move up followed by a second big move up. And then that third candle was kind of weak to fake you out, was a printed a doji. And then it was like, never mind, we're going to go higher. And then it did something like that. I would like to see something similar, right? I mean, you can see it back here too, right? We get 1, 2, 3 weeks, then a soft week, then another week, then a soft week, then a couple of strong weeks, then a soft week, then a couple of strong weeks, then a weak week, soft week, and then a couple more strong ones. So we are getting towards the end of the summer cycle here in just a couple of weeks, though. We've got about 5 weeks left for these things to make a top before we start going into that September, that late August, September, October bear cycle for these things. So I really want to see by like August 12th, I really want to see this thing make a significant move. I want to see them all make a significant move by that. Some I think already have, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to move on to Riot now. So Riot, the weekly close on Riot it was a doji. So it was just a doji. It was pretty even. Neither the Bears nor Bulls won. You see here that volume has basically stayed flat on the oscillator here for Riot since April 29th. It's done very, very little. The RSI also mostly flat, hanging out just below the 50 RSI. I think once this thing cracks the 50 RSI on the weekly, I think that's where we're going to see some pretty dramatic moves where this thing just like takes off and is really beautiful. I think that's what we're going to have to wait for. But for now, Riot is it's kind of dwindling down, waiting for something really big to happen. Announcing that they doubled their exahash at the end of June there was not enough to really get them to make any move whatsoever. I think we'll need to see that come online and actually be used to hash Bitcoin. Like when we see like, okay, so you got 22 energized, that's great, but how much are you actually using to mine? If they can get that above that 60 some odd percent efficiency rate for running their miners that they've traditionally had, then I think they might benefit from it. But if they continue to fall flat in that respect, in terms of how much of their mining capacity they're actually utilizing, if they continue with the same kind of trajectory that they have for quite a while now, I don't think they'll get the benefit of the doubt for quite a while until we see Bitcoin like really moon on this thing. Riots, honestly, it's been held back. And when it's done being held back, it's going to explode up. And I am looking for that 200-day moving average up here, about 1635-ish area, 1630-ish, sorry, 1630-ish area on Riot is where I'm eyeing for when this thing does eventually break out from this, this depressed price action that it's been seeing for a couple of months here on Riot. But it continues to be a little bit depressing. If you're in Riot, I'm in Riot. And yeah, I'm a little bit frustrated by it, a little bit upset with it. I really would like to see this thing finally get out of this price action in this area under the tens. That would be great if it could just get into the teens again. Please, let's see a 2 at the beginning here that isn't, that's got a 0 behind it. Let's see it get up into the 20s. That would be fantastic. Anyways, let's move on to the non-hodl crew. The non-hodl crew has been the one that has been peaking lately. They've been setting new highs here. Well, cycle highs, not new all-time highs, but new cycle highs. Ones like Iren, Corz, Wulf, the non-hodl crew have been doing very well lately, and I think that is going to be like, I think they are preceding the hodl crew because Bitcoin's been suffering. We also, like, Iren really didn't do anything this week, but it got a huge week. It was up 33% this week off of that business report where they just mentioned that they have money funding them for the remainder of the year, so they won't need to do any more dilution. They also talked about getting into HPC. They haven't actually done it yet, but they were talking about it, so they got into it. Notice Bitfarms talked about that too, but they didn't get any benefit from that whatsoever from disclosing that. They also barely got any benefit from disclosing that they were up over 12 exahash now. So like like this is why I'm saying the non-hodl crew have been doing really, really well the last couple of weeks, whereas the hodl crew has not been doing as well the last couple of weeks, even though there is similar good news happening on both sides of this thing. So I do think that we're going to see a wave of non-hodl and then a wave of hodl. That's what my current theory is. Let's see if it plays out. That's what I'm feeling right now. Anyways, Iren up 33% last week. We are up into this area of resistance right now. So I would expect to see this come back down. Now, I know I keep saying that, and it just keeps going up. So I mean, maybe I don't know what's going on with Iren, and that's fine, I guess. I can't be right about every ticker all the time. But yeah, Iren continues to impress. I'm not in Iren. I keep waiting for a good entry. None of them feel like good entries. It likes to fake me out on Iren, so I'm still trying to find that area where I'm like, I'm gonna buy some Iren. I think $15 is too expensive, so I won't be doing that. Uh, I would like to see it come back to the 5-week moving average again at 1267, see how it interacts with it. And once I see it come down there, I don't know if it'll come back lower. I mean, I do know that if it goes beneath $11.26, that we're coming all the way down to at least 868. So if that 11.26 is a line in the sand. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put a horizontal one on here, and I'm gonna put this as red, and I'm gonna go, yeah, 11.26. I nailed it. All right, great. Yeah, anything below that, honestly, this line might not even catch it. It's going to come anywhere between that white line and like 869. That's if it does. It might not. I mean, look how strong this body is. That's a really strong body. It could continue to rally off of that. Like, there's no way for me to. I have no idea which way Iron's going to go right now, honestly. I want to see it come back down to this area. I do know that if it goes below 1126, like you're going to have a bad time if you're holding. But if it gets above, let's say right here, if it gets above 1732, honestly, if this thing can close above 1732, like sky's the limit. It's going to run for another all-time high or in the 30s probably if it can do that. I don't know if it can, but if it does, yeah, watch that level, that 1732, 1730 something range over here. This candle over here from March 7th, 2022, that weekly candle, like you get above that, you get a close above that, yeah, we're probably likely going to go a lot higher than that, and it's going to be pretty fun for you if you hold Iren. Again, personally, I don't hold it yet. I've been waiting for my entry. I can't seem to catch it at the right moment, and that's okay. I can't be in everything all the time. Anyways, moving on to Corz. Corz, similar sort of setup here. It keeps coming down towards the 5-week, right? Not breaking it, and then like coming back up. Now, the distinct difference here is Core Scientific closed out the week below previous two high candles here, which would have been the week of June 10th and the week of June 17th. If we go back to Iren, Iren closed above those. So Iren is actually looking a little more bullish than Corz right now in that respect on the weekly. We have support on the 5 if we're going to use the 5 as support at 933 for the weekly. The 20-week, which is the only other SMA we have on here, is all the way down at $5.06. So if we lose the 5-week moving average on Corz, there is a long way to fall. If we break out above 1070, though, I mean, like, who knows where it's going to go? I can't tell you where that's going to go in that respect. There's nothing up here. There's nothing to reference it to. So we'll keep an eye on that. Watch the 5-week moving average. That will let you know, like, if it breaks the 5, it's very likely to come down to like 880, 881. You lose that, then you have a double top. And if you've got that double top, the next stop is all the way down at like 611. That's it. The next area of support is down at 611, and it's not even strong support. The next like strong-ish level of support is down at the base of this big candle here at 493. So, I mean, Corz just doesn't have enough history for me to really tell you what, like, I think I'm really going off of very few candles here to make an assessment. I mean, this thing could just continue to blast off into the sky. I can't tell you with how few candles I see here. I'm just going off of, the general knowledge of technicals, like, okay, this could be a double top. If it gets below this number, it goes down there. If it gets above this number, well, who knows? That's it for Corz. Corzy's a little crazy. Wulf ended the week up. It's had how many weeks in a row green? Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. Wulf has been positive. This thing is absolutely on fire. It looks like it wants to go for the 200-week moving average at $7.13. Can it make it there? Honestly, I have no idea. It is off the charts right now. It was up 25.39% last week, and it has been positive. I can't remember how many weeks that I just say it has been positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. I know I keep saying that, but wow, that's a lot of weeks. The last time I think we saw a run like that was back here starting in November, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of positivity, and then 8, 9, and 10 were negative. So maybe we might be looking for a negative week the next 2 weeks. Let's take a look here. Here was another run where it was just green over and over and over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of weaker performance. So maybe this is the end of the run for for Wulf, it does have a history of running 7 weeks positive in a row, followed by some negative weeks afterwards. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if the pattern, if that kind of pattern holds true. I'm not going to run my technicals off of that, but it is a thing that it has done in the past. Uh, Anyways, the 5 week moving average is all the way down at $4.24. The 20 week is at $2.70, and the 50 week is down at $2.12. I don't see us getting back down to the 50. The 5, maybe. We might make it back down to the 5, maybe somewhere in between. But I can tell you, if we lose $3.83, we are likely to collide with the 20 week moving average before moving up again from there. We also have above us, we've got no resistance until we get to the 200 week moving average, which is at $7.13. So there is a very good chance we could go up to $7.13 before seeing a reversal on this thing, because this candle is a bullish candle still. It's still a bullish candle. Like, it went up, it closed up near the top. People were buying it from the bottom to the top. This thing is looking primed for more movement. Now, if we might get a doji next week. This is kind of what I'm expecting. So here's my game plan in my head. Right here, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this type of candle. I'm looking for a doji next week, which is the same candle that we got on July 17th, 2023, that weekly candle. I'm looking for a doji coming in next week. If I see a doji coming in next week, especially with a long wick on top, then I might say, okay, perhaps we're not going to make it to the 200-day moving average, and we'll first come back down to the 5 week moving average, see how it interacts there. If it slices right through it, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to come right back down to the 20-week moving average and see from there. These things are taking off. This is again part of the non-hodl crew, and it is just blasting off just like the others, while the hodl crew has been lagging behind in this current cycle. Perhaps they'll do trade off back and forth. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But these non-hodl ones have been absolutely amazing to hold. Unfortunately, I don't hold any of them. But if you do, congratulations. You're doing super well. Keep a lookout for those tops. Look for top signals if you're trading in and out of these things. If not, you're just hanging on for the ride. And of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's for information and entertainment purposes only. Let's take a look at Cifr as well. This is the last one. This is also a hodl one, but I don't cover it as frequently. I do like the warrants occasionally on this one, but let's take a look at the underlying for that. So Cifr has been just kind of curling up for a long, long time. It's been up. It was up 13.25% last week. We are above all the moving averages. They are in the right order. We got the 50 followed by the 20 followed by the 5. I don't think it's been around long enough to get a 200 week. It has not. Soon we might see one. Let's see. The RSI is all the way down at 59 after it bounced off the 50. That is good volume. Volume is pointing upward. This thing could likely come up and tap this line again. Up around right now, honestly, it's at like $6. So it could come up to around that $6 range. Things look bullish. It's coming off of a downtrend, and a little downtrend, and then it's going to start moving back up again. This one's looking bullish. I like it. I like the look of the Cifr chart right now. Anyways, that is the miners, the weekly closes of our favorite miners here on TradeCape. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and have a profitable day.